Cost is defined as the monetary value of material and resources, in simple words, amount that has to be paid for the resources acquired. To complete a project, cost management plays a vital role. Irrespective of the size of the project, cost management is used to plan and control the expenses. So now, we will explore the cost management knowledge area in project management in detail. Hi guys. This is Eric from Invensis Learning. Welcome to this video on cost management. If you are not subscribed to our channel yet, do subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon for regular updates. Today in this session, we will completely focus on the cost management knowledge area, but before starting with agenda, we will have a quick look on cost management. Every organization, irrespective of its domain, needs to complete the project adhering to time and budget constraints. Budget is considered to be the most important criteria for success of any project, and it has to be spent wisely. Parallelly, it's equally essential to ensure there is ample supply of funds coming in at the right time, from right sources to cater project requirements. Thus, the project managers came up with an organized approach to manage the overall budget in a project, which is known as project cost management. The concept of cost management has become one of the most essential areas of project management. It ensures that project-related costs are estimated in an accurate manner. Now, let us start with the agenda. So today in this session, we will start with the introduction of cost management, followed by its overview of cost management, where we will understand the processes involved in cost management. After that, we will start with tailoring considerations. That helps us to understand the predetermined conditions that need to be considered for cost management. Post that, we will understand the cost management processes, where each process is explained on the basis of inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. Finally, we will conclude this session with the conclusion of cost management. Sounds interesting, right? So without any delay, let's get started. Now, let us start with the introduction to cost management. Project cost management is a technology-based strategy for measuring cost and productivity across the whole life cycle of enterprise-level projects. Project cost management is all about planning of work, then estimating the budget for the work, and procuring the funding for the estimates from stakeholders or sponsors, then managing the funds to finish the project, finally, if any risk occurs, controlling the expenditure, and finishing the work within the budget and time. Now, let us see the definition of cost management as per PMBOK. Project cost management includes the processes involved in planning, estimating, budgeting, funding, managing, and controlling costs so that the project can be completed within the approved budget. This is all about the introduction of cost management. Now, we will start with the overview of cost management. The project management includes several processes. They are: plan cost management, the process of determining how project costs will be estimated, budgeted, managed, monitored, and controlled. Estimate cost, the process of estimating the monetary resources required to perform project tasks. Determine budget, the process of combining the projected costs of particular activities or work packages in order to produce a cost baseline that is allowed. Control costs, the process of monitoring status of the project in order to update project costs and manage changes to the cost baseline. Project cost management is primarily concerned with the cost of the resources needed to complete project activities. Project cost management should consider the effect of project decisions on the subsequent recurring cost of utilizing, maintaining, and supporting the product, service, or result of the project. This is all about the overview of cost management. Now, let us start with the processes of cost management. Recognizing that various stakeholders measure project costs in different ways and at different time periods is another aspect of cost management. So, before understanding the cost management processes, there are considerations that can alter the cost management plans. So, let us start with the tailoring considerations, which are essential for creating a cost management plan. There are 5 considerations that are considered before planning the cost management. They are: knowledge management, estimating and budgeting, earned value management, use of agile approach, governance. Let us discuss each consideration in detail. Knowledge management. Before starting with the planning process, project managers should have the access to the knowledge that the company has from the previous experiences. Here, knowledge management is nothing but the collection of methods related to creating, sharing, using and managing the knowledge and information of an organization. As per PMBOK, it is described as the organization having a formal knowledge management and financial database repository that a project manager must maintain and is readily accessible. Now, let us start with our next consideration, that is, estimating and budgeting. Here each project manager should consider estimating and budget considerations. Estimating and budget considerations are used to check whether there are any prior formal or informal estimates of the project. This consideration is used to check the prior estimating calculations used in the organization, so that it will come in handy while creating new estimates for the project. Let us start with our next consideration for project cost management, that is earned value management. Earned value management, or earned value performance management, is a project management technique for measuring project performance and progress in an objective manner. Earned value management will integrate schedules, costs, and scope to measure the performance of the project. With these predictions, the project manager will adjust the goals and scope of the project. This is all about earned value management in tailoring considerations. Now, let us start with use of Agile approach. Use of Agile approach. Use of Agile approach consideration is used to verify the Agile methodologies used in project management and its impact in estimation. This consideration is not a mandatory one. This is considered only if the organization follows Agile methodology. But, in organizations where Agile framework is used, this consideration will be used effectively in estimating the costs. Then last but not least, we will see our next consideration, governance. Governance. Governance consideration is used to check whether organizations have formal or informal audit and governance policies, procedures, and guidelines. These are the considerations that need to be considered before starting with the cost management. I hope this is clear to you. If there are any issues, feel free to write it down in the comments section. Now, let us start with our next topic, cost management processes. Cost management processes. As we discussed in the beginning, there are 4 major processes included in the cost management. So we will start with each process in detail. The project cost management includes plan cost management, estimate costs, determine budget, control costs. We will start with our first process in cost management, that is plan cost management. Plan cost management is the process of defining how the project costs will be estimated, budgeted, managed, monitored, and controlled. The key benefit of this process is that it provides guidance and direction on how the project costs will be managed throughout the project. The cost management planning effort begins early in project planning and establishes the foundation for each of the cost management processes, ensuring that the process's performance is efficient and coordinated. The cost management plan documents the cost management procedures, as well as the tools and techniques that go with them. In addition, cost management plan is a component of project management plan. For creating the cost management plan, we have inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. Now we will discuss each input in detail. For cost management plan, the inputs are project charter, project management plan, enterprise environmental factors, organizational process assets. Starting with project charter, the project charter is a document that outlines the pre-approved financial resources that will be used to produce the precise project expenses. The project charter also specifies the project approval requirements, which will have an impact on project cost management. Then we will use project management plan as an input for the cost management plan. Now, let us start with project management plan. In this, only few subsidiary plans as an input. They are schedule management plan. The schedule management plan establishes the criteria and the activities for developing, monitoring, and controlling the schedule. Risk management plan. The risk management plan provides the approach for identifying, analyzing, and monitoring risks. With this subsidiary plans as inputs, the cost management will be planned. Along with these, there are other inputs present. Those are enterprise environmental factors. The cost can be influenced with several environmental factors, such as organizational culture. The culture in the organization plays a vital role and that can impact the cost management. Market conditions. This describes the products and services that are available in the regional and global markets and their trends for cost estimating. Currency exchange rates. This comes into play when the project is funded from more than one country. Published commercial information. Commercial databases that track skills and human resource costs and give standard rates for material and equipment frequently provide published commercial information such as resource cost rate information. Project Management Information System. This system will provide all available alternative possibilities for managing the cost. This is used as the inputs for planning the cost management. Productivity differences. Productivity differences across regions of the world can have a significance. Impact on project costs. This is all about environmental enterprise factors, and then we have the organizational process assets, so let us discuss them in detail. The organizational process assets that can influence the plan cost management, such as financial controls procedures, historical information, lessons learned repository, financial databases, existing formal cost estimating policies, budgeting procedures, and guidelines. These are the pre-existing organizational processes that can help in inputs to plan the cost management process. These are the inputs for planning the cost management. With all these inputs, project managers will plan the cost management. So to create the plan, there are several tools and techniques, so let's discuss the tools and techniques for planning the cost management. Tools and techniques used in planning the cost management are expert judgment, data analysis, meetings. So let us start with the expert judgment. Expertise should be considered from individuals or groups with specialized knowledge in the following topics to convert the inputs into a cost management plan. Previous similar projects. The expertise on previous projects will be helpful to gain the knowledge on how the things are operated. Information in the industry. This information helps to align with the market trend and happenings in the industry. Information in discipline. This is the knowledge with respect to the discipline on which the project is being implemented. Information in application area. This information will give the geographical information of the project and its application. Cost estimating and budgeting. This will be used to understand the previous cost policies in the organization. Earned value management. This is a project management methodology that integrates schedule, costs, and scope to measure project performance. This is all about the expert judgment. With this technique, we will ensure that the data been analyzed and judged using the previous learned experiences. Now, let us start with our next technique. That is data analysis. Data analysis techniques are utilized to review funding options and acquiring project resources. Alternative analysis can include reviewing strategic funding options such as self-funding, which means a project where the money is needed to complete the project are 100% raised by a specific organization. Funding with equity. Equity funding involves selling a portion of a company's equity in return for capital. Funding with debt, which means the debt and equity are used to finance the project, and are paid back from the cash flow generated by the project. Along with these, acquiring project resources includes creating, purchasing, renting, or leasing of the resources. This data analysis technique will clearly help a project manager to analyze various funding options for the project, and that helps in planning the cost management. Now, last but not least, meetings are the final technique that is used in plan cost management. Project teams may hold planning meetings to develop the cost management plan. The attendees to these meetings are the project manager, the project sponsor, selected project team members, selected stakeholders. This is all about the tools and techniques. Now let us understand the outputs of this process. Outputs. The output for this process is cost management plan. The cost management plan is a component of the project management plan and describes how the project costs will be planned, structured, and controlled. The cost management processes and their associated tools and techniques are documented in the cost management plan. The cost management plan consists of the following. Units of measure. Here this represents the unit used in measuring the resources in the project. Level of precision. This is used to round off the value based on the scope of activities and the magnitude of the project. Level of accuracy. The appropriate range for calculating reasonable cost estimates is defined, and may include contingencies. Organizational procedures links. Here this is a component of the work breakdown structure that is useful to define the work packages. Control thresholds. This is a percentage of deviations that can be allowed during the project. Rules of performance measurement. Here in this, it defines the rules for measuring the performance, which further helps as monitoring the project. Reporting formats. In this, the formats and frequency for the various cost reports are defined. This is all about the planned cost management process. If there are any issues, feel free to write it down in the comments section. Our experts will help you. Till now, we have seen the first cost management process. Now, we will move on to the next process, that is estimate costs. Estimate costs is the process of developing an approximation of the cost of resources needed to complete project work. The key benefit of this process is that it determines the monetary resources required for the project. So to create these estimates, there are several inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. So let us start with the inputs. The inputs for estimating costs are project management plan, project documents, enterprise environmental factors, organizational processes assets. Now, let us understand them in detail. Project management plan consists of subsidiary plans that can impact the estimates. They are cost management plan. This is the output of the previous process where this will help us define how that costs need to be estimated, budgeted and managed. Quality management plan. The quality management plan outlines the actions and resources required for the project management team to meet the project's quality objectives. Scope baseline. Here this will define a baseline for the project scope, and this also includes the following. Project scope statement. The scope statement includes financing limits for the expenditure of project money, as well as other financial assumptions and constraints by year. Work breakdown structure. The work breakdown structure establishes the linkages between all project deliverables and their components. WBS dictionary. The WBS dictionary and accompanying detailed statements of work identify the deliverables and describe the work necessary in each WBS component to generate each product. Thus, project management plan and its subsidiaries are considered as the inputs for estimating the costs. Now, let us start with the project documents. Project documents that are considered as inputs of estimate costs are Lessons Learned Register. This is a document that helps to document the lessons learned from the precious projects with respect to the cost estimates, such that it can improve the accuracy in estimating the costs. Project Schedule. Here, this project schedule specifies the kind, number, and duration of team and physical resources involvement in the project. Resource Requirements. This resource requirements will identify the types and quantities of resources required for each work package. Risk Register. This is a place where project risks are identified and prioritized to avoid the project failure, but here in cost management, this register will assist in providing the detailed information for estimating. These are the project documents that are used as inputs for estimating, as these documents are handy to get all sorts of information regarding the project. Now, let us discuss the enterprise environmental factors. Several environmental factors that are considered as inputs for cost estimates are market conditions. This factor will determine the market availability and also helps to get the information of local availability and global supply and demand conditions. Published commercial information. Commercial databases that track skills and human resource costs and give standard rates for material and equipment frequently provide published commercial information such as resource cost rate information. And also verify the published seller prices, which will impact the cost estimation. Exchange rates and inflation. Currency changes and inflation must be recognized and included into the estimate cost process for large-scale projects that extend many years and use multiple currencies. These are the environmental factors that are considered as inputs. Now, we will see the organizational process assets. Several organizational process assets that are considered as inputs for cost estimates are cost estimating policies. This is nothing but revision of pre-existing estimation policy in the organization. Cost estimating templates. This defines the previous template used for cost estimation and acts as an input for creating new estimates. Historical information and lessons learned repository will brief the previous experiences with the projects and improve the accuracy by learning from those experiences. These all are the inputs that are required for cost estimates. Now, let us understand the tools and techniques that are used in estimating cost process. The tools and techniques used in this process are expert judgment, analogous estimating, parametric estimating, bottom-up estimating, three-point estimating, data analysis, project management information system, decision-making. Now, let us discuss each of these techniques in detail. Starting with expert judgment. Expertise should be considered from individuals or groups with specialized knowledge in the following topics to convert the inputs into a cost management plan. Previous similar projects. This will guide the project managers with the knowledge of estimating done for previous projects. Information in the industry. The knowledge in the industry will give you the advantage of creating efficient estimates. Information in discipline and information in application area are the areas where the expertise will be considered for the estimation process. Cost estimating methods. This is a process of estimating the cost required for a work package to finish. So expertise in this will help you in better estimates. With continuation to this, there are four major types of estimations present in project management. They are analogous estimating, parametric estimating, bottom-up estimating, three-point estimating, So let us understand, in detail. Analogous cost estimating. Analogous cost estimate utilizes data from the previous projects that are comparable to those of the present project. Values and attributes of the projects that are used for comparison are scope, cost, budget, duration, and measures of scale. Then we have parametric estimating. Parametric estimating uses a statistical relationship between relevant historical data and other variables to calculate the estimates. This technique has the highest level of accuracy in cost estimation. Parametric estimates can be applied for small segments of the project. Then we have bottom-up estimation. Bottom-up technique is a method for estimating the component of work. This technique estimates the cost from the smallest package of work to the largest activity of a project in detail. This estimation's accuracy depends on the size of the individual task. Then we have three-point estimation. Three-point estimating technique is method to improve the estimates by considering estimates uncertainty. This technique estimates the cost based on three estimates. They are most likely, optimistic, pessimistic. With all these types of estimates technique, a project manager can estimate the works that are required to finish the project. Now, let us start with our next techniques, that is data analysis. Data analysis techniques that can be used in the estimate cost process. They are alternative analysis. Alternatives analysis is a strategy for evaluating recognized possibilities in order to choose which options or approaches to employ to execute and conduct project activity. Reserve analysis. Here this analysis is helpful to find and intended to keep some of the resources for handling the risks. Cost of quality. Estimates may be calculated using assumptions regarding quality of cost. This involves weighing the expense of extra conformance expenditure against the cost of nonconformance. This is all about data analysis and estimating costs. Now, we will discuss Project Management Information System. The Project Management Information System can include spreadsheets, simulation software, and statistical analysis tools to assist with cost estimating. This technique will facilitate the rapid considerations for the cost estimates. Last but not least, we have a decision-making technique which plays an important role in estimating costs. Here in this technique, the team members will decide the estimates and finalize. This technique is useful for engaging the team members to improve estimate accuracy and commitment during emerging estimates. With all the inputs, tools and techniques, the cost estimates of a project are defined. Now, let us discuss the outputs that are included in this process. Cost estimates. Basis of estimates. Project document updates. So starting with the cost estimates output, cost estimates comprise quantitative estimations of the likely expenses necessary to accomplish project work, as well as contingency amounts to account for known risks and management reserves to cover unplanned work. This estimate will have the probable cost for each resource that is used to finish the project. Along with the estimates, this process is also responsible for delivering the cause or explanation to that cost. Estimate cost process will provide the basis of cost, and this helps to get the supporting documents for cost estimates. Supporting detail for cost estimates may include documentation of the basis of the estimate, documentation of all assumptions, documentation of any known constraints, documentation of identified risks. With all these documents, the basis to the estimated costs are justified, hence these are ready for sending to stakeholders. With all these outputs, this estimates will alter few project documents, and those need to be updated. Project documents that are required to update after cost estimates are assumption log, the document that has all assumptions, and this needs to be updated with the latest assumptions of work. Lessons learned register. This register can act as a guide to other parts of the project or upcoming projects, so this register should be updated if there are any changes or new steps in the project. Risk register. This is a document that helps to document the anticipated risks, so after this process, if there are any risks anticipated, need to be updated. This is all about the outputs of estimated costs, which defines the estimated costs and its basis. Now, let us start with the next process, determine budget. Before going ahead, if there is any issue, feel free to write it down in the comments section. Our experts will resolve your query. So, let us start with the third process of project cost management, that is determining the budget. Determine budget is the process of aggregating the estimated costs of individual activities or work packages to establish an authorized cost baseline. The key benefit of this process is that it determines the cost baseline against which project performance can be monitored and controlled. So like other process, this process has the inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. Let us start with the inputs. Project management plan. Project documents. Business documents. Agreements. Enterprise environmental factors. Organizational process assets. So let us start with the inputs and details. Project management plan consists of subsidiary plans that can impact the estimates. They are: cost management plan, quality management plan, scope baseline. For this process, the project management plan that is used is similar to the earlier process. And there are several documents that are required as inputs for determining the budget. Project documents that should be considered for determining budget are: basis of estimates. This document is the output of the previous process that defines the basis for cost estimates. This document plays an important role in determining the budget. Cost estimates, then the cost estimates document, where the estimations are defined for each piece of work package. This document acts as a base for determining the budget. Project schedule, the document which is all information about the schedule of project, and this is used as an input to get the resource requirements for the project. Risk register, this document will have the anticipated risks, and is used to determine the contagious funds for the risk. These are the project documents required as inputs. There are several other business documents that are required as inputs. Business documents that should be considered for determining budget process are: business case. The business case identifies the critical success factors for the project, including financial success factors. Benefits management plan. The benefits management plan includes the target benefits, such as net present value calculations, time frame for realizing benefits, and the metrics associated with the benefits, along with the business documents. Agreements are also part of the inputs for determining the budget. Applicable agreement information and costs relating to products, services, or results that have been, or will be purchased, are included when determining the budget. Then we have enterprise environmental factors. The enterprise environmental factors that can influence the determined budget process is: exchange rates. The fluctuations of currencies need to be understood and built into the determined budget process. Along with the enterprise environmental factors, we have to consider the organizational process assets. The organizational process assets that can influence the determined budget process are: existing budgeting related policies, existing procedures, existing guidelines, historical information, lessons learned repository, cost budgeting tools, reporting methods, which helps as the inputs in determining the budget. Now, to convert this inputs, there are several tools and techniques. Let's explore the tools and techniques used in determining the budget are: expert judgment, cost aggregation, data analysis, historical information review, funding limit reconciliation, financing. Now, let us discuss them in detail, starting with the expert judgment. Expertise judgment is considered for all processes in cost management. The following are the areas that are considered for determining budget. Previous similar projects, information in the industry, information in discipline, information in application area, are the expertise that come in handy when the data is processed and converted into a budget. Funding requirement sources. This is the technique where the project manager will define the sources to obtain the funding requirement. Then we have our next technique used in determining cost, that is cost aggregation. In cost aggregation, cost estimates are aggregated by work packages, according to work breakdown structure. Then the work packages estimates are aggregated for the higher levels of work breakdown structure. This ultimately helps in cost aggregation of the whole project. Then the next technique is data analysis. Data analysis techniques that can be used in the determined budget process are: reserve analysis. Reserve analysis can be used to determine the project's management reserves. Management reserves are a portion of the project budget retained for management control purposes and are set aside for unexpected work that comes within the scope of the project. The next technique in determining cost is historical information review. Reviewing historical information can assist in developing parametric estimates or analogous estimate. Historical information may include project characteristics to develop mathematical models to predict total project costs. Thus, we can define a mathematical model to determine the budget. After this, we have a funding limit reconciliation technique. The expenditure of funds should be balanced with any financing constraints on the project's commitment of funds. Here, funding limit reconciliation is a difference between the funding limitations and the projected expenditures that may result in rescheduling of activities to level out the rate of expenditures. The final technique that is involved in determining the budget is financing. Financing is nothing but acquiring funding for projects. It is common for long-term infrastructure, industrial, and public services projects to seek external sources of funds. If a project is funded externally, the funding entity may have certain requirements that are required to be met. These all are the tools and techniques used for determining the budget. Now, let us see the outputs of this process. The output of determining budget are: cost baseline, project funding requirements, project documents updates. So let's see each output in detail. The cost baseline is the approved version of the time-phased project budget, excluding any management reserves. The cost baseline is developed as a summation of the approved budgets for the different scheduled activities. Cost baseline is used for the comparison of cost basis and actual costs. Then the next output derived from this process is project funding requirement. This output will determine the total funding requirements and the periodic funding requirements. Funding requirements output will guide the manager with the funds that should procure for project and the liabilities that can be used from management reserve. After this process, there are a few documents that will be updated as a result of the new funding data. Project documents that will update it after executing this process are: cost estimates. This document will be updated as per the latest estimates derived from the process. Project schedule. With the funding information, the project schedule will be altered and those changes need to be updated in the project schedule. Risk register. New risks identified during this process are recorded in the risk register and managed using the risk management processes. This is all about determining the budget. For more videos on interesting topics, subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon for regular updates. Now, let us start with our final process of cost management, that is control costs. Control costs is the process of monitoring the status of the project to update the project costs and managing changes to the cost baseline. The key benefit of this process is that the cost baseline is maintained throughout the project. Same as the other process, we have the input, tools and techniques and outputs. Let us start with the inputs for the control costs process. The inputs used for control cost process are: project management plan, project documents, project funding requirements, work performance data, organizational process assets. So, let us start with them in detail. Starting with the project management plan. Project management plan consists of subsidiary plans that can impact the cost control are: cost management plan. The cost management plan is a component of the project management plan and describes how the project costs will be planned, structured, and controlled. This document is used in controlling the costs. Cost baseline. The cost baseline is the approved version of the time-phased project budget, excluding any management reserves. This acts as the input and used to determine the budget, and helps to keep track of it for controlling costs. Performance measurement baseline. The baseline for performance measurement is part of the project plan. It specifies the scope, budget, and timeline of a project or parts of a project, which helps in measurement of performance, such that it is useful for creating a plan for control cost. This is all about the project management plan input in control cost process. Now, let us discuss the next input, that is the project document. Project documents that are required as an input for control costs are: lesson learned register, where the lessons learned from previous process and projects are documented, and is used as input to plan cost control. Then we have the project funding requirement input. Project funding requirements are calculated as the projected expenditures plus the liabilities that are anticipated acts as the input for cost control. Work performance data can also act as an input to control cost. Work performance data contains data on project status such as which costs have been authorized, incurred, invoiced, and paid. Then there are a few organizational process assets that can come into use for controlling cost. The organizational process assets that can influence the control cost process are: existing budgeting related policies, existing procedures, existing guidelines, cost control tools, monitoring, and reporting methods. These are the inputs that are required for the cost control process. Now, let us start with the tools and techniques used to control cost: expert judgment, data analysis, to complete performance index, project management information system. So let us start with the tools and techniques in detail. Expert judgment. Expertise judgment is considered for all processes in cost management. The following are the areas that are considered for control cost are: variance analysis. The quantitative evaluation of the difference between actual and planned behavior is known as variance analysis. This approach is used to determine the source and degree of discrepancy between the baseline and actual performance, as well as to maintain project management. Earned value analysis. Earned value analysis compares the baseline of performance measurement to real schedule and cost performance. The performance measurement baseline is formed by combining the scope baseline, the cost baseline, and the schedule baseline and is used to determine the cost control. Forecasting. This is a technique used to estimate the time for completion of project. Financial analysis. Knowledge on this analysis will help the managers to analyze the financials of the project. This is all about expert judgment. Now, we will discuss the data analysis. Data analysis techniques that can be used in the control costs process are: earned value analysis. Earned value analysis compares the baseline of performance measurement to real schedule and cost performance. The performance measurement baseline is formed by combining the scope baseline, the cost baseline, and the schedule baseline. Variance analysis. The quantitative evaluation of the difference between actual and planned behavior is known as variance analysis. This approach is used to determine the source and degree of discrepancy between the baseline and actual performance, as well as to maintain project management. Trend analysis. This analysis looks at project performance over time to see if it is improving or degrading. Forecasting. This is a technique used to estimate the time for completion of a project within the budget. Reserve analysis. Reserve analysis is performed during cost control to evaluate the state of the project's contingency and management reserves to determine if existing reserves are still required or if further reserves must be obtained. This is all about data analysis. Now, let us start with our next technique. To complete performance index. The To Complete Performance Index, TCPI, is a measure of the cost performance that is required to be achieved with the remaining resources to meet a specified management goal, expressed as the ratio of the cost to finish the outstanding work to the remaining budget. This defines the index, whether the project can be finished within the budget or not. Now, we have Project Management Information System technique. Project management information systems are often used to monitor the earned value measurement dimensions to display graphical trends, and to forecast a range of possible final project results. These are the tools and techniques used to control the costs, and using these, there are few outputs to this process. So let us explore the outputs. They are: work performance information, cost forecasts, change requests, project management plan updates, project document updates. Let us start with the outputs in detail. Work performance information includes information on how the project work is performing, compared to the cost baseline. Variances in the work performed and the cost of the work are evaluated at the work package level and control account level. This output will always help the project manager to keep track of the performance and take corrective measures if they are not satisfactory to control the costs. Then we have cost forecast as our next output. Cost forecasting is all about determining the earned value cost, documenting it, and communicating it to stakeholders, such that the stakeholders will be aware of the costs that are incurred during the project. Then we will see the change requests that are occurred after the process. The analysis of project performance may result in a request for a modification to the cost and schedule baselines, or other components of the project management plan. Integrated change control procedure is used to assess and resolve change requests in cost management. Then, with all this information from this process, the project management plan needs to be updated. Any changes to the project management plan are submitted via change request to the organization's change control process. Components of the project management plan that may need a change request are: cost management plan, cost baseline, performance measurement baseline. Last but not least, updating the project document is one of the outputs of this control cost process. Project documents that may be updated as a result of carrying out this process are: assumption log, basis of estimates, cost estimates, lessons learned register, risk register. This is all about the control costs and the project cost management. Interested in becoming a certified project management professional? And don't know where to start? Don't worry. We got it covered. Invensis Learning has been reviewed and approved by the PMI Authorized Training Partner Program to provide a 4-day instructor-led PMP certification training that will ensure the essential 35 PDUs at the end of the training. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section, and do subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos on latest trending technologies. This is Eric from Invensis Learning, signing off.